Just tell me when we're live. Just tell me. Oh wait, they can hear me?
Yeah, no, there's still music.
Okay. Yeah, you need. Wait. Hold on. I'm gonna figure this out right now. Alright, can they hear me? Chat, if you type in one letter, I'll love you. No, I still don't hear, I don't even hear myself unless I have this muted. Alright, we do. Okay, we are live. Okay, we're live here at QSL Shallows Division. Fledglings versus Triton Snails with some interesting mid-season pickups. But before we get into that, on camera will be Triton. I the Dirty Bubble here at Energy to my left, right, and above me. How are you doing today, Energy?
I am doing great and excited to get this cast underway. Got a really great roster of teams to go through here.
Yeah, as we get into picks and bans here, we're gonna kind of speed through because, you know, we're late, Energy. So we see Hades, Horus, we got Jingwei, Bacchus. Anything about these top like three of each draft that we like here, Energy?
I mean, I am a huge Hades enjoyer. I don't know that I would top pick it, but I can't argue against it really. Really solid pressure, really great damage. On the other side, I always get a little anxious when I see a Jingwei, because I know that lane's not going to have too much action for 20 to 30 minutes, considering. But I also really like the Opwash. It's a great counter into Hades a lot of the time, with how much anti-healing he brings to the table.
Not only that, with the huge AoE clear no play zone can be really effective, especially the Hades ult, I would have to say. But let's talk about some of the more interesting picks here. Horus, not a god we see too much, Energy.
No, not so much. I feel like he's had a bit of a wave throughout this year, kind of going through pockets of popularity and then pockets of less popularity. Definitely a good one to pair with Freya, though, when you want to not have two of the same damage type in one lane. And great CC early for the Horus.
Alright, as we see a bunch of these picks hover, I believe my spectator may have to lock them in so we get a clearer view on the stream. There we go. As we get locked in here, both comps, we do see something interesting I've seen in SPL quite a bit. I believe this is going to be a Camazot's mid.
Oh, goodness. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. Pretty safe as mids go, especially if you get the leap second. Does okay into Scylla also. She can still jump over a wall and get away, kind of. But, yeah, don't hate it. I also kind of wonder, they've kind of set this comp up that it could be one of three things in the middle, really. Yeah. Just
based off what players are playing where, I believe it is a Camazot's mid and an Alpwash solo. Devin Frisco, the starting jungler, is going to be locking in his infamous Cleo. Let's talk about this left side team, though. A lot of lockdown coming in from this Triton Snails team.
Yeah, a lot of lockdown, a lot of setup. Provided that all the CC's hitting, it should be a pretty straightforward day for Scylla. Thora brings so much CC, and then when you pair that with Hades ult blocking people in, the Horus CC, a lot of tools there for the Scylla.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that Freya has a mega butt ton of damage. You know,
yes.
Use technical terms there. So we have that. Which of these team comps are you favoring a bit more here?
I think of these options, I'm probably going Order side here. I feel like Freya by herself is such an oppressive presence, and then you pair that with somebody with really great early pressure like the Horus. That means that duo lane is going to be swinging early. I'd expect to see some kills over there pre 5 minutes.
I have to concur with you, Energy. So you do like this side comp, but what about the other team's comp? Do you like it? Maybe their path to victory?
Yeah, I do like their comp. I think theirs is definitely going to depend more on stalling the game out to the later game to kind of nullify the early pressure that you get from characters like Hades and Thor. At the same time, though, Scylla and Freya only get better with time. Just getting those items online, getting those passives built up. So, kind of a risky gamble, but I think they could do it if they play it the right way.
So as we get into the game here, as we see some of these builds, I'd like to point out something that's maybe not particularly terribly common right now, is this Opwash's build, opting not to go Pythax. Why do you think that's the case?
My guess would be that Opwash already has a little bit of sustain just coming out of the passive in Exhume, so getting that percentage health and mana restore just from walking over the corpses. And so I'd imagine that with that plus the Vamp Shroud, he probably doesn't feel like he needs the extra lifesteal. And I don't hate this either. The base damage for Opwash is pretty good overall, and he's still got a little bit of lifesteal with the Vamp Shroud, so that would be my bet.
And one last thing is camps are being pulled here. The age-old debate of War Flag Sentinels. When do you go one and when do you go the other, Energy?
Well, I would go War Flag whenever I have a carry that could really benefit from the extra attack speed early. I feel like Freya doesn't have great attack speed here, and she would definitely benefit from it. And I would also go it if I were playing a support that already had some sustain in the kit, and luckily Horus has a heal, so you're not really going to be missing out too much on that. I guess you get a little bit from War Flag, but that's kind of my logic anyway.
Alright, as we get into mid camps here, a bunch of poke coming out in this Camazotz. Which team do you think ought to get the early pressure here?
I would guess if it just in this middle lane, I would probably give it to the Fledglings. But it's tough to say. There's a lot of poke that can be thrown out each way. And Scylla definitely has the safer poke at this point, being able to throw that crush from much further than... Yeah. So I guess I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Double Assassin, like, not able to get the pressure or not even killed, but they do get the advantage on the Harpies. Actually, no, Gecko Kucha are gonna try to contest these, but sure enough, probably don't get there in time. But could look for a kill. Thor gonna use a wall, hits both, double tap onto both. Camazotz taking a lot of damage, gonna be forced to leap out, could die here. Scylla gonna go in. Camazotz, 1 health, autos are coming out, and Thorhammer off the mark on the backswing. Camazotz gets out by the skin of his teeth there, Energy.
Yeah, great presence of mind to dodge all of that trailing CC. Definitely going to set Kama back a little bit, though, as Scylla's going to be able to clear this middle wave without really any pressure.
I hate to interrupt you. Huge knockup from Horus is going to set up this kill, but Bach is going to get the triple stun, forcing the beads out onto the Thor. Banish, going to banish one into the air as the red team does get under the tower, but a huge double knockup from this Horus off of the Thor wall.
That was so good, and that's exactly what we talked about earlier. Just so much early pressure coming up from the Horus. So much early CC, I should say, and Thor capitalizes on it well. So...
How important is it, this early pressure for this frail Horus over something like a Bacchus Jingwei?
I would say it's fairly important. Freya is still fairly weak in the early game, so in that sense... obviously, certainly before level 5, before she gets her ult, but into this matchup, it might not matter as much because Jingwei shouldn't really be fighting as much anyway.
Blue vein on the right side of the map. I wonder if Thor's going to get it. Thor appears to have successfully stolen the blue buff, so that's a huge advantage for the side of the Gecko Kucha, who seem to be playing this early game quite well.
Yeah, they've built about a little less than 1,000 gold lead at just 3 minutes, which is huge. They're really making the most of the farm on the map.
Yeah, we see this Fledglings team. They kind of are getting hard out pressure early, which is not very surprising, but maybe a little bit surprising in mid where the Camazotz getting out pressured by the Scylla when matchups usually where assassins usually win that. Why may that be the case?
I think it's partially because Cleo doesn't bring quite the early pressure of Thor. Just more hard CC, clear that kind of hits the whole wave and you don't have to put yourself too out of position to hit it. So
huge whoop catching one. Bacchus is going to leap in there, going to take a lot of damage. It's a dead Bacchus as a scary creep may steal the last hit, but Buckwheat maybe getting a little overzealous there, Energy.
Just a little bit. And this is another interesting choice by the Bacchus, electing for the blink over the shell.
As we see a gank come out here, Cleo trying to make something happen, but shouldn't really have too much pressure. But the Horus actually very low. We'll use the 3 to zope out as Cleo off the mark, and Horus does get out successfully. But Anvil Dawn being charged along with Horus, so gonna land onto Cleo. Cleo taking a lot of damage. Horus off the mark. Cleo does get the dash off, and should successfully get out, but gets cleaved by the Horus. And now a huge knock-up CC from the Horus, giving iCrazy the kill on the Devin Frisco.
Great series of events for Gecko Kujo. Yeah, great series there. And great communication and good tenacity from Thor to stick with it after missing the tectonic rift on getting the stun. So
fancy, we know Smite names. Yeah, I'm checking.
We do our best here.
That shows a lot of trust by this Horus player to come in and ult in off the Anvil Dawn and still trying to follow up to get a kill. Great synergy from Scary Creep and iCrazy, who is just a free agent right now. Very surprised to see that cohesiveness from somebody they've never played with before.
That is impressive, and you definitely, if you hadn't told me that, I wouldn't have known, because it does look very cohesive, very coordinated.
Yeah. Very important here, iCharlie and iCrazy are going to be the 2 free agents, as we see Apuasho does not outconfirm the Hades 3, hard to outconfirm, but Hades may have to pay for it. Takes a lot of damage, but Horus is here. He's just all over the place as a knock-up on Apuash. Evilize does find Captain Cab to trade out, and Cleo has arrived. Thor already half health as this fight starts, is going to get silenced, going to run towards his tower. Should have hammer up relatively soon, but they could even turn this as Cleo does realize that dash off the mark. Horus knock-up off the mark, slow comes out, and not a lot of kills coming of it, but a 1-for-1 for both teams there, Energy.
Yeah, yeah, I think that if Apuash doesn't get the kill there, then that's really not worth it for anybody. But that fleeting breath damage is... Yeah.
Coming out here, Freya going to be in trouble. Flop off the mark, but does force the ult. Ult's going to have to come and run away. Burp's going to be expended here. Beads. Freya has to burn beads and very gankable to Energy. I hate to interrupt you during that, though. Sorry.
Oh, quite all right. Quite all right. There's plenty of time. Yeah, they didn't quite have the damage there, and I wouldn't really expect them to at just under 7 minutes with a Bacchus Jingwei lane. Jingwei can't really dive, Bacchus can't really either, so not much they can do there.
Early lead here for the Gecko Kujo. Mid-cam's gonna get tested, but I'd like to point out this Thor build. Breastplate, it looks like it's gonna be built. How do you feel about that?
You know, I'm pretty positive towards it, because it will likely be Breastplate, but this would also be a team where building Contagion would actually be pretty decent, because there's just so much CC that they've got over there.
Nah, Breastplate OP.
Oh, Breastplate's absolutely OP. I'm just saying. Every now and again, you hope you see it.
Cleo did have to use dash to catch up with the slow will hit. Freya could be in trouble here. She's very in with that ult. Dash going to come in. Horus will inbound, but will not make it in time. Zipzap does fall, but Cleo expends the beat. Scary Creep traps the Devin Frisco under her own tower, trading out the kills.
Excellent play by Horus there to keep him under tower.
Dash and huge root by Gastilla. Neptune Spartan claims now it's a 6-2 for the Gecko Kujo here, Energy.
You'd love to see it, and I had the privilege of coaching Neptune several seasons ago in a different league, and always great to see him putting in the work and just finishing off that kill. Yeah, the Kama's getting beat up a little bit early here in this lane.
Opting to go that double stack, importantly, does not have any cooldown for this beginning portion of the game. How do you think that's affected his laning phase?
I mean, it certainly affected it, although I feel like he kind of has to go this route as opposed to going something like a Jotun's, because otherwise he's just not going to have that mana sustain come the late game. Having said that, the base clear on Kama's abilities are still really good, and he's about reached the point where Screech should be close to one hit clearing a wave. So, I think he's just at the tail end of it being a bad situation for him.
Well, I know some Kamazots like to opt to level 2, so it's interesting to see maybe what he's got. But the Anvil Dawn actually going to be used here. Not a lot of damage coming out. Alplash half health, but It's quite an interesting call there from Gecko Kujo to maybe dive there.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have done that so early, especially under tower as into an upwash. Although they did, his beads are down, so maybe there were comms there to try and pick him off before the beads come back up.
Upwash is now going to Pythax. Did just opt for the early Genjis. Quite an interesting choice to me. What do you think about it?
I don't hate the early Genjis. He's gonna get hit by so many different things, whether that's Hades clear or Thor abilities, that the extra cooldown is gonna be great, and I don't think it impacts his build too much. And obviously, if we just look at what's happening here, it doesn't hurt his clear all that much either. So.
Yeah. No one will ever question Outwash clear.
No. Heavens no.
But early, it appears that Gecko Kucha has kind of been running this game early. Like, it's just been reactions out of the Fledglings. What do you think the Fledglings have to do to maybe change the pace of the game?
Absolutely, great question. I think the key here is they're going to have to look for a pick probably in the jungle. They've not been able to exert too much control over the other side of the map, and they've mostly been on the defensive. So they need to get a pick, and then they need to start trying to get objectives here.
Cleo has shown her face back on left side. Freya already half health where this fight starts. Horus ult has been expended. Not a lot to come of it, though. I believe they didn't even get any relics, so I would say a pretty neutral gank for both sides there.
I would agree. Just a couple of, well, I guess just one ult getting exchanged, and then Cleo's popping hers, but those don't really count because they're low cooldown, and you get two of them, so... would it be possible for us to look at how many wards have been placed so far?
My guess is 3.
And you're not wrong if we were to play the law of averages. Yeah, interesting.
Clearly, blue team has the advantage here, despite having actually, I think it's about. I'm not going to do math anymore. I'm done.
It's okay. It's about double. Roughly. No, I always want to look at warding in the solo lane, because we've had a lot of rotations over there already, and Hades has yet to place a single ward.
He's him.
Which is always interesting. He is him. he is not concerned about the Cleos of this world. So
Cleo showing a clear focus onto the double. Emeraldondo going to be used on the Bacchus. Bacchus getting caught in the enemy jungle, already half health. Going to leap towards his side of the map, and that's a lot to use on a Bacchus when I would say Beacon's coming up here soon, but I guess Cleo's going to go on the Freya. May not want the smoke, though, but will silence the Freya. Freya already half health while this fight starts. Freya autos are going to be down. Horus makes the rotation. Cleo dashes in. Horus going to knock up the Cleo, and Cleo going to fall relatively quickly. Turns invisible. Freya gets hit by the ult. Does not see the Cleo. Cleo uses some magic tricks to get out of a dangerous situation there.
Oh, beautiful. Just had to put on the dancing shoes and get out of dodge. That was a really smart use of Cleo abilities.
Gotta get caught here. Already half this fight starts, drops the ult to get some damage off, but that will not be enough to make a difference as Evil Eyes falls rather quickly. Crazy and Jingwei also ulting out. Beacon goes the way of Gecko Kujo.
Yes, it does, and solid rotations, and it looks like they might even ult a Gold Fury here.
They do see this. Fledglings do see this. May not have the resources to contest. Jingwei will walk up. Does not have ult, however. Gecko Kujo do confirm the Gold Fury, as it appears the Fledglings do not put up much of a defense.
No, they don't, and that is one downside of the comp that they've drafted.
And Voldon onto the ADC. ADC needs to be really careful. No, wall off the mark. Frey uses ult to confirm the kill, but Crazy says, I got this. As now, we actually see on the back of them, Bacchus is now in trouble, as multiple rotations is made by Gecko Kujo to kill this Bacchus. Bacchus quarter health, will get the 3, a huge damage coming out. Hades, 1 health, but Bacchus gonna finally fall to Zip Zap, and Gecko Kujo up 9-2 now.
9-2 and just about 6k gold. Really quality rotations from them, good wherewithal to see the person caught out, and obviously cleaning up that pair of kills doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, very. This game may start getting out of control for the Fledglings here soon. What do they have to change up?
Yeah, it's tough. I think that they probably could do to have better warding on both sides on the enemy's jungle. I feel like they've gotten Thor ulted a lot duo side without there really being much warning. So that would be step one. I think that's easy and attainable. Step two would probably be, well, I don't want to say drafting a different comp, but
you could say
drafting something with more secure. I'll say that much. I think that's one key downside of this comp is that really with outside of Opwash damage and maybe a lucky Jingwei or Kama ult, they're really not going to be able to secure too much in terms of stealing.
I would say that their early pressure is quite lacking, but we're going to see that now Opwash going to get gone on in the enemy jungle. It has to drop the Crypts. Does get the 2 off, but will not last much longer as iCrazy does take out Evil Eye. Scylla ult going to hit the Hades pretty hard as Buckwheat does fall. Hades is on their team, actually. Camazos does leave out, but that's a 2-0. Meanwhile, in duo, the Fledglings may look for some value here. Do force Feral. Cleo needs to be careful as she's going to fall into dangerous level health. Knockup is good, and iCharlie finds Zip Zap. So some punchback by the Fledglings, but that lead has now swelled to 11-3 as Camazos may actually look for a Gekka Kujo member. Thor gonna spin. Camazos already low health, but does not matter as Thor does hammer out. And what just happened there, Energy?
I think we witnessed a breakdown of warding on the other side. No real warning that the Cleo was rotating onto the Freya, and Freya was just very high up without any sort of vision. So if there's not any awards there, I would kind of expect that to happen again, especially with Freya's ult being down.
As we see this Thor 6-0-2 to start out with, they're now up 6k gold still. He's going to opt for this Brawler's Beast Stick, and how important is it for this Fledglings to kill this Thor if they even can?
If they can, I think that's going to be huge. The shutdown gold on that alone would make it worth it, even besides the fact that he'd be off the board for 40 seconds or so. The challenge is, though, will they be able to? He has so much slipperiness, and they have good chase down, but is it enough for a Thor? Hard to say.
Jingwei gonna be forced to ult here. Freya will back out, but that's an important cooldown down. But now, as we see Cleo getting ran at in her own jungle, this feels bad as a jungler. Gonna be able to get out here, but we just see this Gekka Kujo just doing whatever they want here, Energy.
Yeah, they've done a great job of securing map control. We just saw them take Pyro a few minutes ago, and it looks like Thor's going to clean up another
looks like
kill
Thor
on the
got
Opwash.
evilized.
Yeah.
3 people on the blue buff can't do much about that.
No, you cannot, especially with your beads down on Opwash, which it looks like beads are down for another 30 or so.
Mid tower should not be far behind from falling here. And for Fledglings, where do they maybe draw the line and say we have to defend this?
I think once it starts getting into Phoenixes, that's the point where they have to start defending. Obviously, a huge objective steal like a gold or fire would be great. Ooh.
Huge wall get into, but she's still in quite a dangerous spot here, Energy. We see the vultures surrounding. Gonna walk out of the wall here. Gonna get dashed upon. Root off the mark. She does just eat a crush to the face, though, and Devin Frisco falls to Neptune Spartan.
Yeah, just getting a little bit too far forward there and I guess she used both relics, but there's some traps you just can't get out of, and that's one of them.
Yeah, Kakucha now swelled to 13-3, maybe looking to get aggressive here. Horus dashes on the team, sees 3 members, but will opt to go for the Gold Fury. If you're the Fledglings, do you step up here?
I feel like you kind of got to, but I also don't think they're going to be able to.
Hades not letting it. Amble Dawn's going to be dropped into the Crypts, also dropped. Opwash, 1 health, iCrazy finds one, does get shelled for his trouble, and Camazot's is still in trouble here. Horus ult going to be expended here as iCrazy gets shut down by Fuego Maega. Huge turn kill, but how long, as he does use the bat out of hell to get out. But Jingwei now has to use relics to get herself out. Ult has been expended, and Cleo has cleaned up Captain Cap on the back end, as Scylla going to take a bunch of damage, and Cleo doesn't get out. 2 for none so far, but a blink in here by Evil Eyes may lead to more, as iCharlie finds Scary Creep. Now 3 for nothing for the Fledglings, as the chase is on Gekka Kujo. Freya gets leaped on Bacchus, gonna use the stun to hit both of them, as Jingwei trading on us. The Freya needs to be careful. Beats has been expended by Scylla, dash away, and this should be all she wrote, but now huge knockup for the Bacchus. Gonna confirm the kill as Fuego Maega clings up Zip Zap, and the chase is on Energy. Scylla should just be able to get out here, though. And what went wrong there for the Gecko Kujo?
Oh man, I think it's the classic tale of overstaying just a little bit. I will commend this on the side of Fledglings. Excellent relic choice by Kama to opt into the Aegis instead of the instead of the Blink, excuse me. Because without that, he definitely dies there. Having said that, will he get out here?
No, he won't.
No, he will not. That is okay. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, but alas.
Hey, what? Re-engaged by Gecko Kujo. Now, Fledglings may be the victims of overstaying, as Bacchus is going to get knocked up here. Hades has been expended. Bacchus running the wrong way, and it's just a stall for time as they fall 16-7 now for the Gecko Kujo.
Having said that, that fight did bring them up a couple of K, so instead of being more like a 9K, it's closer to a 6K lead now. So they cut into it just a little bit, and that's kind of how they have to claw back into this game, by bits and pieces.
Cleo's in a dangerous spot, in danger of getting spotted out here. Still a route off the mark. It's Cleo does opt to go into the wall, maybe not dash out, does get the dash out, and the team not fast enough to collapse, but actually Horosol going to be used here to go on the Pyromancer energy.
And that is absolutely the right call. They have got decent enough vision on the map to know that nobody can really contest them, and they already know that the enemy secure isn't great. It should be, but it doesn't appear to be just yet.
Gecko Kujo maybe not knowing where the enemy team is, maybe too scared to pull his fire just up, but maybe just witnessing the back of the Cleo, maybe the go button, but Bacchus going to use Belch here just to stun. And Gecko Kujo just standing around this fire giant. Finally pulling it.
There we go. Okay, now we're going. Now we're cooking. Now it is a little bit late because we do see
Alposh
here
walking in. Into the crypts are going to be Jaws. Anvil Dawn going to go in the air. Maybe look the zone. Into the crypts going to be Anvil Dawn lands on the Cleo. Gecko Kujo does confirm with Scylla. And should be all G-Rope, but Cleo going to be gone by iCrazy. Will get into the wall, and now Thor may be the one in trouble as he gets CC'd, but will spin on the Cleo, and huge crush by Neptune Spartan, capping Devin Frisco. Meanwhile, though, in left lane, Jing Wei has made her way to the bird, but will not have any more wave to confirm that Phoenix.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of what you have to do in this situation. There are no other objectives. Yeah, he's still there. He's got a wave. He can probably get half of it before the wave dies.
It will be this way. We see it back by the Thor. No Anvil of Dawn going to be used. I would say he's going to get all of it.
Oh my goodness, you're right.
Does have XE dominance for the pen onto the bird, I guess.
You know, excellent trade.
Yeah, I would say that's totally worth it for iCharlie there.
Absolutely.
Especially if she can get out. iCharlie going to be on the run from this Thor. Should be able to get out. Has the ult if need to expend it. Thor hammer off the mark. So is the wall. Charlie not opting to turn on him, will just choose the run, should be able to just get out here, Crazy.
Should be able to, has ult, has both relics. But Thor is not really giving it up, and is in fact, ooh, that's bold.
This could be risky play for the Thor, especially if she witnessed the Cleo. Will Anvil Dawn out? iCrazy just playing very aggressive here.
Playing very aggressive, and that's what you got to do when you're Thor and you have a substantial lead. Just be looking to free ult these people, and yeah.
I actually just noticed this. That's a sturdy stew on top of the Thor.
Yeah.
Right
I was gonna get to that at some point, but that is such a, I don't want to say troll, but that is.
I've never seen that. I'll be honest.
Yeah, but I don't hate it because so much of stacking Sturdy Stew is about applying CC, and Thor has it in spades, so really easy to get that stacked for him.
Goldfear going to be pulled by the Fledglings. It looks relatively uncontested as the Gecko Kujo do counter with the beacon. Going to be interesting if a fight breaks out here. Thor does spin the win on Cleo, does get stunned, and Cleo is in very big trouble as Devin Frisco falls to iCrazy 11-1 on his first game of the season. Pretty good so far. Baka is going to be forced to try to juke some abilities. Going to get stunned, rooted, and eaten real quickly. This lockdown of the Gecko Kujo has just been too much for the Fledglings.
It really has been, and the stat lines kind of betray that a little bit, because you've got Horus with 2, 1, and 12, over 50% kill participation. So many fights started with a knockup or a Horus stun, let alone a Scylla root or a Thor just doing Thor things. Oh. Really excellent comp I've drafted.
As we see, Gekko Kucha actually may look the siege with 2 picks here. Camelot's did just back. Titans are pushing down mid. Jingwei already half health as the fight starts, but Thor takes out and Jingwei barely gets out. I guess got clipped by that crush. Anvil Dawn going to be used into the crypts, also going to be used. Plush going to be trapped between 4 of them as the Phoenix falls very quickly. Anvil Dawn on the backline forces the beads. Devin Frisco gets capped by the Scylla Sikkim. And just a huge fight for the Gekko Kujo. Any more picks could be spelled disaster for Fledglings as Buckwheat falls to the Scylla Crush and zip zap damage. And Gekko Kujo just manhandling the Fledglings right now.
Yes, they are. Got about it.
I believe that's a spam laugh.
Ooh, you hate to see it. Well, you love to see it. You know, sometimes the season needs it, sometimes it
Energy. That's against the rules in QSL.
Right, of course, we hate to see it.
We hate to see it.
You're right. I'm sorry. It won't happen again.
You're a terrible person.
I know. It is true. Now, one thing about this Titan mechanic is it can delay games by any amount of time just by when it happens, and that's kind of unfortunate that it happens in the middle of a huge push. But great if you're a Fledglings fan.
I don't know if it's great if you're a Fledglings fan. It means you gotta sit there and watch your team get whooped for the next 10 minutes.
Well, there's that too. There's that to consider too. But it also gives them an opportunity to come back. Because if we know nothing else about Smite, comebacks are possible.
People throw the game all the time. There's no EFG yet. There won't be for another 5 minutes. So that's good. Cleo just dashed. Thor heard it, but whatever. But what if you're the Fledglings? How do you come back in this game if you can, or does it require a Gekko Kuja mess up?
Oh man, it requires a lot of things to go right and a lot of things to go wrong for Gekko Kujo. I think it's going to require Gekko Kujo to overstay on one of these fights or overcommit. I think they're going to have to. Fledglings are going to have to get a pick or two, probably under a Phoenix or around an objective.
So you see Emerald Dog got be used here. Gotta just look for someone in this jungle. It could be this Plush. It may be Cleo. We'll find out here in a second. Emerald Dawn off the mark. Cleo has just used dash though. Stun off the mark won't get her punished. Right Phoenix has respawned to the side of Fledgling, but meanwhile, Freya actually getting ran at by the Fledglings. Could be in trouble here. Bad at hell and Aegis expended, but Darren Frisco has been picked in the right lane as Gekko Kucha has used the 2v1 advantage in left to force their play in right. As Devin Frisco dies, and this Fire Giant and/or Phoenix could be next.
Yes, it could, and I don't know about that. I don't know if I would devote 2 people to a Freya in left lane.
Well, right face gonna fall here. Horus just got hit pretty hard. Heal not available. Hades is gonna ult for the mitigation. A bunch of damage gonna come out. This Hades is healing so much. Camazot's 1 health. Hades does barely get out alive. Not the same could be said for the Horus as Charlie finally finds the last auto there, and they do end up getting the Phoenix. Do you think that's worth for Gekko Kuja?
Oh, well, I would say yes.
What about this Anvil Dawn?
Less so, but but he is gonna go. Yeah, I guess for an Aegis, it's probably worth it.
And he lives.
And he probably lives. Yeah.
He got the beads too.
But he sold the sturdy stew. Why would you do that?
He's not getting sturdy with it anymore.
No more stew for that man.
He's officially hitting the gritty.
Now we have hit an important power spike though that I did want to mention. So Jingwei now has an upgraded starter, which means that she's going to have even more crit chance. Which means we're in those hours where Jingwei actually starts 2-tapping people if they're not careful. Now they do have a Spectral, which will help, but Freya is still very susceptible to crits.
It just may be too late though with 2 Phoenixes down. True. Left one is spawning back up, but it's going to be pulled by Gekko Kuja. Bacchus is going to step up here by himself. Fire Giant burning pretty quickly. Cleo going to try to steal with her ult, and Gekko Kuja do confirm it with Sikkim. As now it's going to be on the Fledglings to get out of this dire predicament. Cleodona Dash has been used. Anvil Dawn looking for a target here. Will land on the back here as Plush already half health as this fight starts. Gonna get quarter health now. Very cool. How to use the Aegis. Horus ult and Captain Cap finds Evil Eyes. Neptune Spartan finds Buckwheat, and Cleo gonna be forced to run backwards here. But Gekko Kuja actually don't care as they may look to end here.
Yeah, that's a hard summit to come back from. Having said that, it is most of the ults down on the side of Gecko Kujo, so they might not need the extra push because having the FG buff, but we'll see what
Mid
happens
Phoenix
here.
going to be looked at here. Jingwei already taking most of her health bar. Cleo, interestingly enough, has not backdoor shown up yet, so this Phoenix goes down for relatively free. Camazots, no ult, will get stunned and be found. Now Cleo going to dash into 4 of them by himself, maybe looking for a pick. Has to use the Aegis, but will fall here. And now Jingwei only has ult to survive here. Will found as she dodges the... Oh, she doesn't as it deletes her, and Gecko Kujo surely take game 1 here, Energy.
Most assuredly, and it was a pretty convincing performance from the start. They really maximized how much pressure they had in duo, and then jungle, and then mid, and then everywhere else. So, solid victory all around.
With that was a very good dominant game even from Gecko Kujo. I think they had one fight where they stayed around too long, but outside of that, kind of just dominated this game. As we go into the details screen here, Mr. Crusader, of the crouton variety, we see that some of these damage numbers are quite lacking on the side of the Fledglings.
Yeah, I'm looking at mid damage here. The Kama mid, unfortunately, was just not able to get off a lot of damage in these fights. Doing about a third as much damage as Scylla, and maybe 2.5 times less than Hades. So, and Thor for that matter. So I think the adjustment that they should make going into the next game is probably one ban Thor. I think I would honestly I would even consider doing a Horus ban at that point. Because that, like, I don't normally advocate for a Horus ban, but that was a really clean performance all around.
Alright, well, I have to throw it to a break here so we have some time before the next game for our streamer to get set up. So come back and within like the next 5 minutes as we can see if the Gecko Kujo continue their domination of the Fledglings or the Fledglings finally push back just a little bit. We'll see you here in about 5 minutes. Alright, so we're live, I can believe. Alright, so welcome back to Quackin' Shallows Division. To my left, right is Energy Triton Crusader on the cam side, Dirty Bubble. Bans coming out for both teams here rather quickly, but I just want to ask you, what do the Fledglings have to do this game to maybe not get, for lack of a better term, cream pied?
Right, for lack of a better term. I think there's two keys here. One is you want to get a mage in mid. I think that we tried the Camazotz experiment. It didn't really work out. The damage numbers kind of reflect that. So I would want to see a different mid. I also probably want to see a Thor ban. That was about as good a Thor performance as you could hope for someone, an undrafted person. And
well, he's in the mid-season draft, so he hasn't had the opportunity to be drafted.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Even so, for somebody who presumably hasn't played with this team before yet, played it really well. So I probably want to see a Thor ban here.
Well, I think they're even baiting a Thor ban with like a Ganesha ban, which just tells the other team that we are picking Thor if you don't ban it.
Absolutely.
Fledglings are, I guess if you're the Fledglings though, do you feel as though that if you were personally, if someone like demolished you on a Thor at that level, do you ban it or do you ego them and say, yeah, we can deal with it?
Oh, I'd ban it. I wouldn't. There's no question. I think the Thor was the most impactful. Yeah, and there we go. We do see the Thor ban. I wouldn't worry as much about the Hades ban. I think you can draft around that easier than you can a Thor.
Hades auto-locked here by the Gecko Kujo. Clearly a priority pick for them as they first picked it last game.
Mm-hmm.
What strengths does Hades bring to a team?
Well, as we just saw last game, a lot of sustain, an ult that gives you a ridiculous amount of prots and decent lockdown. But also, I think he just has really strong clear early, and in this meta of mage solos, that just gets prioritized a lot. So when you have sustain plus easy clear plus a great ult with CC, it's not surprising to see him get picked up this high. So, brings a lot to the team. Also the silence, kind of a slept-on part of the Hades kit, but that silence will absolutely ruin your day if you let it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Fledgling's clearly thinking about their top two here. What would you like to see as I guess I won't even ask that. What do you think about the Ratatoskr Sun Wukong top two?
I like the Ratatoskr. I think that's probably a better pick overall than... I'm assuming it's going to be Ratatoskr jungle, unless there's a...
mid, baby!
Oh, of course it's Rat mid! Then all bets are off. No, I like Rat jungle more than I like Cleo jungle right now. I think having a global will help them tremendously. The Sun Wukong, I think he does okay into Hades, but not great. As a solo player myself, I've played that matchup God knows how many times, and it's probably safe. It is safer than Opwash, but it also comes with some caveats. So
well, with that being noted, though, we see Olaran Horus locked in. Of course, Scary Creep having a very good game on this Horus. What do you think about this Olaran pick?
Well, I like Olaran a lot. I don't know that I like it more than Freya after the last Freya game, but this is, again, going to be so much pressure for them. Olaran has a better early game than Freya does, by far, and better clear. So I love this pickup, and the Horus getting through again, no reason to change it up. Worked great for them last time.
Yeah, it makes me wonder that if you could have waited on the Sun Wukong pick and maybe kind of like fourth band them by picking the Horus yourself. Especially since they already have a Hades pick. But Giannis gonna be locked in here. Giannis very slip and slidey, but he does come with some downsides.
Yeah, he is going to be difficult for them to chase down, which I guess kind of following on the theme of last game with a Camazotz who is also somewhat difficult to chase down, but Giannis is slipperier still. Yeah, I definitely agree I think the Sun Wukong is probably picked too high here. There really isn't any danger of anybody picking a Sun Wukong support, especially after the Hades game. So, I also think that there are probably better warriors than Sun Wukong at this stage. So, I don't hate it, but I want to see how it's played before I pass too much judgment early.
You see Jingwei, Freya gonna get taken out here with Susanoo Camazotz on both sides. It'd be quite interesting to see what both these players have to play now that Thor's gone for the side of Gecko Kujo, and then Jingwei is going to be gone for the side of the Fledglings.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of pretty decent junglers on the table, I feel like. I guess you could run the Cleo back if you really wanted to. For the other side, Hachiman I was going to mention. I feel like Hachi is still pretty safe and does pretty decent into Olaran, so happy to see that locked in.
Does pretty good into Hades also.
Yeah.
Has 2 ways to get out.
Very solid. Safe in the lane, for sure.
Kind of fits, but Poseidon gonna be Gonna be picked here. Kind of a feast or famine pick here, Energy.
Very much so, and I'm glad you used that term because I was going to use it if you didn't. Very feast or famine. But a really nice pick into Giannis specifically. The cripple on that whirlpool, very nice counter. Obviously, you can still ult out, but then he has to ult away, and then his ult's down, so you can just gank him.
Not to mention the fact I was going to even say this insane setup for Eddie Crack and only getting better with a Neja pick.
Oh my goodness, they've drafted a ton of setup here. I really love it. The only thing they're kind of lacking on is physical damage. So, because Naja, when you play him in the jungle, you typically have to build him at least a little bit tanky.
Blaster, send it.
I mean, I prefer full damage, but I also like living, so gotta weigh those options. Now it looks like we're looking for a support here.
Khepri would not be bad at all. I actually love this pick if they lock it in, which I believe they did. Explain why I love this pick.
Well, there's no executes, so that's got to be a plus, right? For another, just Khepri in general, I feel like is a very I don't want to say underrated because I think he's still one of the top picked supports, but just the sheer utility and CC that he provides while also peeling, while also giving a shield. He does a lot of things well, and he does a couple of things really well. And I think he does well into Horus, too.
I'm about to say, it's such a huge pick-off comp that this team has. The number one counter historically has always been, just pick Khepri.
Yeah.
You see, as long as someone doesn't immediately die to the Neja, you should be able to save whoever gets comboed by this Neja and or Horus relatively safely.
Right. Now, I will say this, I do think that Khepri struggles a little bit into Olorun as a pick. I think Olorun's clear being so much ranged and having a knock-up and obviously the Olorun ult. They do make it difficult for Khepri without any sort of CC immunity. Not unplayable, just difficult.
I have to agree with you. He also kind of maybe sometimes struggle into Whirlpool. Where he has to block 2CC, and if Neptune Spartan, for instance, I think it's appropriate, by the way, he's playing Poseidon. Whirlpool's his feet. It could be very tough for this Khepri to get on the backline. But which of these comps do you like better? Because I think I have my opinions, but I'll let you say it first.
Sure. I think it's almost going to be a word-for-word repeat of last game. I think the later it goes, I don't know that it favors the Chaos side, the Fledgling team more, but I think it becomes more in their favor. I think Gecko Kujo has a more cohesive comp. Just the wherewithal to stick with Horus and a magical ADC was really smart, and I think that if they did what they did last game, it'll be.
I think the comp is very reminiscent of the Game 1 comp, to where it's just huge amounts of lockdown with a huge burst ability coming out of the mid lane to kill whoever they got on. A very run-at-you comp, and we saw how Fledglings reacted to that in Game 1, where it wasn't particularly positive. No,
it was not. The big difference is, though, we kind of swapped a global ult in the jungle from team to team, with Fledglings picking up the Ratatosker. I think that might be the deciding factor in this.
I would like to say, Fledglings have definitely drafted themselves a better early game comp to not to get ran over, hopefully.
Absolutely. I would agree with that 100%. This is certainly stronger. The other danger, too, with drafting somebody like a Poseidon is, with no CC immunity in the kit, even with beads, he's still going to be pretty vulnerable to an early rat gank. And Rat's level 2 is pretty strong. Naja's isn't bad, but Rat's is probably better. So.
Yeah, don't you love it, though, Henry, when people forget to put on low spectate delay as we finally are loading it?
I do, but it lets us build that rapport more. Get those hot takes out there.
I remember that I was casting a game 5 for QSL like a couple seasons ago, and they forgot to put low spectate delay on the final game. So it's just like 5 minutes of the caster sitting there after a 4-hour set, just dead. Never
happens. It happens to the best of us. But as we get in here, let's see. I'm kind of wondering if we're going to see the. It doesn't look like we are. The early Vamp Shroud start for the mid lane for Gekukujo.
I think someone finally yelled at Neptune Sport and be like, "Yo, stop trolling, bro. We know you guys. I know you guys. You kind of like mollywopped them, monkey breaded them game one, but we need you to stop trolling your build and going blood soaked or going shroud on
right." And that's after he went 8-0 too. Did not have a bad performance by any means.
I do like to say this though. I struggle with seeing this Fledglings team fight towards the end.
Yeah, that is one difficult thing about playing with the Giannis, is the team fight is kind of awkward. Because you kind of rely on like Giannis ulting somebody from behind a wall and getting that damage early, but even before the team fight starts.
Or like perfect communication between Devin and Fuego.
Yeah.
Like hitting the backline with the ults at the same time, especially when Fuego's not even there, usually starting mid. So a little rough for the Fledglings.
Yeah.
But I still just struggle because I saw Fuego play last game on Camazotz, kind of struggled a bit on here. So I have like, I don't think Giannis's damage is particularly easier to get off than Camazotz. Camazotz has 2 ranged abilities, has the ult if he ever gets in trouble. Giannis has 1 ranged ability and has the ult if he gets in trouble.
That is true. But to be fair, Giannis does have a lower cooldown on that second ability, and it does hit for more.
I don't know. Have you seen the Camazotz cooldowns? Oh my lord, I was playing them the other day. That thing's nuts. I'm surprised how low those cooldowns are.
Oh, they're low, to be sure, but the base cooldown on the Giannis 2, I want to say, is only around like 8 or 9 seconds.
Quick. Let's look up the Giannis 2.
Yes.
Click up. Yep, there's the Giannis.
There we go.
Now we're watching. Okay, there. Yep, we got it.
2.
Now hover the ability.
And yep, 9 seconds. Right.
Let's go. We did it. Now
we did it.
We get unique visual on this mid pressure. Though, it appears the Gekukujo again gets pressure.
Yeah, and that's just a virtue of having that Poseidon clear. Aside from having a great team fighting ult, he just brings a ton of pressure with the Whirlpool Tidal Surge combo. Really difficult to fight into, especially for Rat and Giannis.
There's Horus comes out here. I doubt anything comes of it, however. Now we do opt to see this Khepri go Benevolence. What benefits does Benevolence have over Sentinels get for this game in particular?
For this one in particular, it's definitely going to be the sustain factor. And yeah, and you kind of need something to match the heals that Horus produces on his own. So
we're going to see a replay of game 1 as Sash does come in. Giannis going to try to pull it out. Crippled, does not pop the beads, and first blood goes to Neptune Spartan. It's almost like an exact replay of game 1 there.
An exact replay in the same spot, no less.
As we see, just a bunch of CC. No duel and rotated, as we see Gekukujo actually has the red team shoved under the tower, so could not help their jungler even if they wanted to.
No, they couldn't. But I do want to talk about Khepri for a little bit, because I do think that this is a much better look for them than the Bacchus. I think Bacchus is great when you have a little bit of a lead and you're initiating fights, but he does less well when it comes to peeling. And Khepri does that in spades much better.
He's a less extreme Ares, what I'd say.
Less extreme. That's a great way to put it.
As we see, though, Rat kind of look to maybe put some pressure on the Neptune Spartan. Gets the stun off. Already half health does the Spartan go, but Rat already out of mana. Off to go to Bumbas.
Yeah, interesting pickup with the Bumbas dagger. I feel like most sound tactical doctrine would be to get the Eye of the Jungle at this point, but yeah, you don't see Bumba's dagger too much anymore.
We see Rat just in the back, kind of just like can't really deal with this Nejal. It doesn't have any mana, but we see Samukon making rotation. Hades is going to be really hard to out confirm, however, as we see.
Ooh, yeah.
Does immediately delete the blue buff, and Rat with no mana can't really help his Samukon here.
Yeah, just an unfortunate sequence of events. Ooh. Does get out, but it is close. Really maximizing the power spike that you get from Poseidon, like using that Kraken instantly.
Man, Gekko Kujo losing the purple too. If you don't be mistaken, this is game 2. We're kind of seeing the Gekko Kujo just kind of doing whatever they want very early here.
Yeah, that seems to be that early pressure is kind of their style, and they execute it really well.
Watch him taking a huge amount of damage, maybe in big trouble. Doesn't have the dash. Oleron cannot get an auto Kepri, putting his big badonkadonk between his carry and the other, saving him. Okay,
as you should.
Oleron.
No, they did hit 5. Yeah, just Oleron things. Now, they did hit 5, and a part of me wants them to kind of dive this early, but I don't think they're going to. It looks like...
Rat in the area.
Yeah.
Would be in trouble. Rat gonna auto nothing. We will try to throw the stun out. Does get confirmed by the Horus and or Oleron. Shield buff going the way of Gekko Kujo. Gekko Kujo has confirmed basically every camp on the map so far.
They have, and they've built for themselves about a 2.2k gold lead.
Already.
Which is kind of like last game. They got... Ooh...
Devin Frisco gets to lead on the mid camp, and Fledglings, you're gonna have flashbacks, man. You're already down 2-0, almost 3k already, and it's already starting to look bad for the Fledglings.
It is, and 2 early kills onto Poseidon is never a feels good moment. Poseidon's already got the Book of Thoth. Oh, are we gonna see third blood?
Kepri gonna have to ult himself here. Will live. The Sanctified Fields are down. But Gekko Kujo, just even look at this. Nejal at the back camp. He's going to fight the Ratataster. Sobukon going to come out. Flamefire Wheels off the mark through the Cosmos going to be expended. Giannis ult also been expended. Nejal going to miss the ult here and will successfully get peeled out by the Poseidon, and maybe a dropped kill there for the Fledglings.
I would say a dropped kill, although Nejal did burn the beads, so even if Rat had come in, it wouldn't have gotten the knockup. But still, yeah, probably a dropped kill.
Gekko Kujo playing very aggressively, one would say. Kind of getting any camp they want. They should be able to get the shoot camp. And Fledglings, what do you do to not repeat the same mistakes as last game?
Well, at the risk of becoming a broken record, you got to get picks. You got to get picks, and you got to have vision.
And, there's a pick with no vision. Neptune's finds a third kill. And this lead swells to 3-0, and now 3.5k.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and I feel like that's kind of going to be the story for Giannis for the foreseeable future. I think he can't afford to go up in the lane to get these clears.
Well, Rat's going to look for Poseidon, but Poseidon, level 9, but it still is going to eat rat shells.
Oh, that's huge.
Partner, and Devin Frisco finds the shutdown on the Neptune's heart.
Yeah, well, and it's good that they got that now, kind of stem the bleeding a little bit. And probably good that it went onto the Rat as well. Just because I think both with this game and with last game, Rat's actually done a little bit of a better job farming. Or at least staying even and consistent level-wise with Crazy on the other side.
As you see, just all around just throwing abilities out. 3-1 for the Gekko Kujo.
Oh,
Sanctified Field is going to be expended. Kepri does have ult, but ulting will not do all too much, especially if Oleron plants his behind in front. Kepri going to use beads. Will get the pluck off as Oleron misses it too, but the one coming out does not have the range, and Kepri escapes with the skin of his teeth.
Goodness, now that might also be a dropped kill.
Or at least his claws. I guess he doesn't have teeth.
you make a valid point, and I'll never say that again. We have kills in the solo lane.
Evil Eye's gonna find himself dead. Also, Solar is down. Ratatask gets the stun off. Flamefire wheels are off the mark. Or I guess out of range, more accurate. But 1-for-1 inside the Fledglings, and Fledglings do find some pushback here.
They do. It's good to see Wukong picking up that kill also, because Wukong can definitely fall behind in this matchup if you don't throw ganks that way.
Already a level down.
What was that?
Already a level down is the
Yeah. Oh, and it looks like we might even see a kill mid lane.
Nation.
Good.
That was a close one.
Gets peeled out one more time. Giannis also off the mark. Nation gonna look to farm here. What do you think is the next big breaking point of this game?
I think. Sure. I think the big one will be that first Gold Fury, probably. Or, if it takes the form of last game, the first big fight around the Stygian Beacon. Because right now we're seeing a gank in the left.
Rat Dash spin's gonna be hit, and ooh, that hurt!
Ooh.
As Zip Zap gets deleted by Charlie, but we see rotations now coming in from Gecko Kuja.
We see those rotations coming in. It's gonna be close.
Oh, huge crack! Oh, Neptune just actually deletes Hachiman.
Wow.
Hachiman did have beads, opts to not use them. Maybe a little bit of a mistake there, as now it's a 1-for-1.
It's a 1-for-1, and yeah, that kind of nullified whatever advantage they might have gained. Yeah, that Poseidon has a fully stacked Book of Thoth really fast, and the full Spear of Desolation.
Doug misses the ult off the sash. The Cosmet's going to be expended here, but now Oleron has arrived. Rat going to decide better of it and walk out despite Kepriel being up.
And if you look at the bars, or at the mana bars, even if Rat lands there, I don't even think he has enough for a single ability, so probably the right play to just back off there and reset.
I have to agree with you, Energy, there. We just see Solar just duking it out right now. In fact, he's going to be expended.
The way it was meant to be, non-stop action. That's the way to play.
What's a camp?
Yeah, what's a camp? We don't need that here. We just need a left click. Unfortunately, looking at dual lane here, oftentimes this is how this matchup goes until Hachi can get 1 or 2 items online. He really can't afford to step up because Oleron will outrange him, usually, and the clear will usually beat him as well. Having said all of that, Hachi's doing a good job of staying even, if not ahead.
Fighting the soul lane, in fact, that now some Wukong going to be looked at by the Neja. Huge rotation. Poseidon does use the whirlpool to get some damage off, but now some Wukong may be in trouble. Will get Kepri ulted by Buckwheat. Does save him for now. Will be able to walk out, but Neja looking for a sash hits the Kepri. Will stun the big old bug, and it looks like the Fledglings are able to escape. I say that though, as Neja has hit the ultimate onto, I believe it was the Ratatasker who finds himself sashed and killed, but Pluck on the Neja will keep him in place, but it won't be able to do anything as Cloud Somersault going to be used to get in the air as Giannis misses the 2 on the Neja, and the Fledglings lose 1 and maybe even 2 now as left lane. Hachiman getting gone as Wukong able to get out successfully, and just a 1 for none for the Gecko Kujo.
Yeah, 1 for none. That's just tough. You see... Oh, but we might have a kill here.
Cavalry Charge going to have to use Expended to live there, but yeah, go ahead, Mr. Energy.
Oh, quite all right. Yeah, just a rough fight. We saw kind of what Fledglings comp is capable of, though. We're going to call it the Lifeguard comp. Between the potential save from the Kepri ult to getting out with Giannis portals, they've got a lot of ways to escape. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of ways to secure kills just yet.
Oleron could be in trouble here. Rat has made a rotation over to left lane. Will get spotted out. I'm surprised he actually didn't go on a knowing Sanctified, but now back to mid as Tiger Stun gonna be interrupted quite masterfully by the Poseidon. Portal off the mark through the Cosmos, gonna be expended here. Land on the back off the mark. Hades ult gonna trap in 3, but not enough damage to do anything off of as Ratatasker still looking for the back. Horus Stun off the mark. Rat able to dash out safely, but it looks like Gecko Kujo have secured control of this beacon despite being down 1 member.
They are... Well... Yeah, they are down.
Giannis needs to be careful. Gets Windfire wheels for his trouble. Kraken's about to be saved. And Kepri! It's a huge Kepri saving his teammate, but Beacon should go the way of the Gecko Kujo.
Great Kepri there. That's exactly what you want to see when you have the Kepri on your team. Second too late, and that would have been a dead Giannis. Having said that, it does open up.
Speaking
well, wait, they're not going to go gold.
Hachiman, no ult, does not have a lot of mana. Will get silenced. Poseidon on the Gold Fury, going to do a lot of damage.
Oh, I don't like this.
Especially get out. Hachiman, 1 health. Poseidon looking to confirm his nation. If that toast, the game's over.
Oh goodness, that always gives me anxiety watching two not tanky characters do that, but I'm glad they were able to make it work. And we got a bit of a red buff invade coming out here.
Poseidon needs to be careful. I was about to say, can't really walk up to this Rat. Does get his red buff stolen, and I say that's a decent play by Rat, just getting the farm that you can while the other team's on the other side of the map.
Yeah, absolutely. Good call there. Good way to prevent the Poseidon from getting further ahead. It does look like Poseidon's about to finish his next item, though, and it is going to be that Typhon's Fang.
What do you think about the Typhon's Fang?
You know, I don't love it. I'm not going to lie, I don't love it. It's great for sustain, it's great for percent pen, but I just don't... I think that there are other items that benefit Poseidon more.
I would have to agree. Maybe even like a coin, so you go faster while also getting that percent pen. You can go
a coin, a Doom Orb, even an Ob Shard at that point, just for the extra pen. But
well, doesn't matter. He's winning, so who knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. He's off to a great start, so he can afford to build what he wants.
Pyrobomb off to the side of Gecko Kujo, but I have to point this out. This Horus build is quite interesting. But before we get into that, Sun Wukong in quite the difficulty here. Windfire was off the mark, but Sash is good. Cloud Somersault going to be used to keep himself up. And meanwhile, on the left side of the map, Tower's getting pushed, but Fire Giant's being pulled.
Oh
this
my
is a
gosh.
big brain called by Gecko Kujo. No one's in the area. I don't even know if they think it's being done.
Ooh, the 15-minute Fire Giant. And they would be correct, because there is little to no ward coverage on this side of the map from the side of Fledglings.
Huge play from the Shallows team. You don't really expect that type of coordination from these lower ends teams here, Henergy.
No, you really don't. And whoever's shot calling made a great heads up play there for sure. With this and with it being so early, they can easily clear out a lot of these towers.
Hachiman opting to split push here, but we may finally get to talk about this Horus build. I think it's quite interesting.
I think that interesting is a very kind way to put it, because I don't think Glad Shield is a good item right now. But again, he is making it work. And he hasn't secured any kills this game with it yet, which I think he had secured at least 1 or 2 last game. I have to imagine he probably could have gone Pridwin here, and it would have been better.
Here, gonna get gone on by a bunch of people. Kraken.
Ooh.
I think Nejal actually just saved somebody, but it was Kepri, so it's not like he's gonna ult himself inside. A little bit miscommunication, but they still get the important pick there.
They do get the important pick, but that is 3 ults for 1 slightly underleveled support. I don't know that that's worth it, but they did clear out the tower, so I'm sure it'll even out by the time another team fight rolls around.
Yeah, I'm sure that maybe the Nejal probably should have held the Windfire wheels or one or the other, right? But as we're just going to get the tower, Gecko Kujo have amassed themselves an 8k gold lead at this point.
Yes, they have, and they're not showing any signs of stopping. They're doing their due diligence, clearing out those waves. They probably have another, minute and a half or so? Maybe a little bit more?
I'm not good at math.
I'm just estimating. I'm guesstimating here.
We will see a defense, though, out of the Fledglings.
I don't know about that.
Casper, they're going to be on the Hades. Does get the stun off. Hades already have, but someone has been taken up in the air by the Nejal. Could be in trouble. Kepri, though, was the victim of the Windfire wheels, as now this fight has split up, and Rat maybe trying to take advantage of it. Goes on the nation, sashes in. Being told by Evil Eye's killing I Crazy, but Zip Zap has returned to kill of his own. Evil Eye's going to do it down as Rat runs away with the Kepriel. As now Giannis is going to be the one who gets on. Does successfully get the portal off. Right now it's a 1-for-1 neutral site. The successful defense of the tier 2 so far. But we see it blinking by the Hades, who gets immediately blocked. Will get enough time to dash out, however. And it looks like we have finally neutraled.
Yes. Oh man, that fight had everything. It had good plays, it had bad plays, it had
mediocre plays.
It had mediocre plays, it had a tier 2 tower living for some reason, and now we have a Gold Fury.
But now we have a Gold Fury dance. Kepri just staring at someone. Pluck. It does get silenced. Huge Hades all capturing the Gold Fury. Gekakucha find the Oni Fury, and I believe Kepri had to beat the Hades ult.
Yes, he did, and I think he might have lived even if he didn't. But fair play, you have the beads, you may as well use them. Yeah, so they've built up that gold lead again to about around 9k, and it looks like they are going to get the beacon here, which is going to put it up even more, closer to 10k. Yeah. So what do you do to get back into this? You got a ward, and I think you... It's tough. There's too many different avenues of things that could be improved here, I think.
You ward deep, and you take 5 people and run at someone if they by themselves.
Yeah, that's words to live by.
Asia has taken, I believe, the Ratatasker in the air, who will not last much longer. That is roadkill.
that is some rough stuff. Interesting again that Rat is opting to not get Blink. And Giannis got Blink instead of the Aegis, which is interesting into a Poseidon. How do you feel about that?
Oh man, I'm be honest. I feel like it's dog water, but that's just me. There's obvious reasons why you want to go Blink on Giannis.
Sure.
But I'm be frank, this man is not playing it exactly like the way you want to be building Blink on Giannis.
Now, is that a product of how he's playing the Giannis, or is that more just like you would play that way if you had more like jungle pressure, or your team had more pressure?
Oh, the Giannis was the one who died right off the rip.
Yeah.
So, as we see, Horse gets raided here. Quite interesting. Fledglings gonna be actually the only ones grouped of 5 here, with Gekakucha having the ult run left. So a fight here may actually be what the Fledglings want, as Kepri walking up, will not CC anyone. Nejok gets the sash, and Hachiman beats have been expended. Horse knock up on the Rat. Rat taking a huge amount of damage, and you see that he dies. Kepriel off the mark, going to be used on himself, as Ratatasker has been picked. Ring bounce going to hit multiple people in the back as the chase is on for Gekakucha. Stun out on the Kepri. Huge Hades ult catching the Kepri as Buckwheat falls. Also, Sun Wukong has now appeared, but a little bit too late, as now he's going to have to spin to win. Will be looking to retreat under this Phoenix, but does get caught by the sash. Will have to use the Cloud Somersault to survive, and the Fledglings clearly on the back foot and reeling here. Energy.
Here, yeah, exactly. Clearly reeling. In that time, Oleron's pushed up the middle wave and is going to start sieging. Yeah, just bad grouping. There's just no other way to say it. Bad grouping.
Right Phoenix just got bombed. The Cosmos going to be expended on the back. Hades does get killed by Devin Frisco. Evil Eyes does get returned, however. Devin Frisco having to use the beads, and now Charlie getting caught by herself in the middle of 3, getting killed, while Kepri gonna be looked at by the Oleron. Beats used sash by the Rat. Windfire Wheels will not only save him, but confirm a kill. And the Gekakucha, the portal, I guess that's one way to get a kill if you're the honest.
There you go. Yeah, the Portal of Destiny does finish one off. And
the easiest portal of his life.
It couldn't have been any better. And you know they desperately needed it, so don't hate it either.
Unfortunately, however, let's be honest, your Fletchlings lose both Phoenix during that exchange.
Yeah, 2 Phoenixes for a single kill and 2 kills on your side. Probably not the exchange you want, but that is what is available. Kind of an interesting thing while we have a lull in the fighting. It looks like Ratatasker opted to get a Transcendence as the 3rd item. I don't... And they're still not stacked, so I don't know that I would have gone for that in this position.
I don't hate it. If the game was like neutral, right? Don't hate it. but they were already so far behind that the
Mhm.
rat could have never even thought about going Transcendence. But I do want to point out this awesome build by this Neja.
Yeah.
We have breastplate and an item you don't really see on Neja too often. Shemek Scepter. I don't know how to say it, so I would go Sekhmet.
Yeah, Sekhmet Scepter. It's a great item. You don't tend to see it very often on, certainly not on Naja, but I don't hate it either.
Well, I mean, he pops his 2 before the fight, and now
Yeah.
But we're gonna see a 1v1 come out here. Now, importantly,
Ooh.
Hachman does not have beads. Neja, very fast, will sash the Hachman. Cavalry charge, gonna be used. Does have the Windfire wheels if needed. Will blink. Will not opt to Windfire wheel just yet. Will get the sash as we see Fuego Maego die on the right side of the map. And this could be game if you're not careful for the Fledglings. We got 4 people leaking in. Neja not here. 4v3 by huge Hades ult onto the Kepri. If they find the kill, Kepri did get the big ult off, but the Titan, you can't rest the Titan as Devin Frisco does 5-1. Evil has 5-2 as the Titan is 1 health. Can they survive? No, they can't. The Titan falls. Gekko Kucha with the set 2-0.
Yeah, pretty clean play from them across the board. Both
7-1.
games, yeah, 7-1, 7-1 on Poseidon. Oh boy, I think if you're Fledglings and you're watching a VOD review back of this game, I think you probably adjust that draft in game 1, and you probably adjust it in game 2.
I would have to say, yeah, I think it was what we talked about before the game. The Gekko Kuja both games drafted very high early pressure, high CC, kill confirmed comps. And I don't believe the Bards or the Fledglings played that well into it.
I would agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, so I think that, and then they appear to have done a lot better in warding in the second half of the game, but the early warding was all over the place in terms of consistency. So they're just getting caught out, getting out visioned, and we all know when that happens, you get early objectives, you get early picks, and it just kind of cascades from there.
Crazy. Putting on stuff, I would say, a pretty solid audition to get picked up here in the mid-season draft.
Absolutely.
So I guess so did Charlie. Not really playing her usual role of solo, though. Kind of like fourth rolling into ADC. I would say she had decent games, all things considered. Between the rest of her team. But if you're the Fledglings, what do you want to fix going forward with the rest of your season?
Sorry, part of that cut out for me there. What did you say?
Very good. I said, if you're the Fledglings, what would you want to fix going forward with the rest of your season?
Going forward, I think I would want to have probably a wider god pool coming out of your mid lane. I think that Giannis is a very situational pick. You can't really pick him without building everything around him, and they didn't quite do that as well as you would hope here. I think that's also true for the Camazotz mid. They didn't really maximize what you would want out of your Camazotz mid. So I'd certainly look at adjusting picks in the mid lane. I felt like overall the duo lane looked pretty decent, and given kind of how the game went, I think jungle looked okay. Solo, I feel like I would have picked something other than the Sun Wukong. I think there wasn't a lot of early pressure, which is what Sun Wukong thrives on, and there weren't really any ganks dedicated toward the Hades until close to 10 minutes. I feel like if you throw an early Hades gank over there, like 1 or 2 of those, you definitely set him back. So I would look to improve like that macro level with god picks, and I would look to improve the micro level with like better warding and probably better communication.
Well, with that though, Energy, congratulations with the Gekko Kujo. But we're gonna have to wrap this cast up. This has been Crouton Crusader on the camera, me, the Dirty Bubble, with Energy to my left, right, and above me. And this has been Quack and Sprightly Shadow Division, Gekko Kuja 2 over the Fledgling, and we must bid you all a good night.
Farewell.
Quack, quack.